Let's take a closer look at the Hot Wheels Starship Select Sandcrawler.
Varykino, living the Star Wars life.
Hello there, and thanks for visiting the Varykino YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be unboxing the Hot Wheels Starships Select Sandcrawler from the most recent wave. For us here in New Zealand, we haven't gotten every wave from Mattel. Sadly, we are chasing a few for our own collection, but very happy that this newest wave has shown up here locally for us. So I'm very excited to open this one up. This thing is so heavy. I think it's the heaviest one that I've personally held. It feels like a solid lump of metal. I'm very keen to open it up and take a closer look, but before I do, I'm just going to go over the packaging. The first thing that really caught my eye is the fact that there is no faction logo here on the box. Usually there is something like the Imperial symbol, the Rebel bird, something like that, but of course the Jawas aren't really affiliated with any faction in particular, so we just have this area blank. Of course, we have a top-down art here of a sandcrawler. Looks kind of interesting from a top-down view. And we can see on the top hanger here, this is number 25 from the line. We've got a nice big window as usual on the front here. It's a little bit dark, so I'm definitely keen to get a better view once we get this one out. We've got the Mattel logo down here. Classic Hot Wheels logo, Starships Select, and the vehicle name Sandcrawler. Of course, it's going to be a little bit different because this one is not a flying ship, so we're going to have a different base. I'm very keen to take a look at that too. So moving on to the back, we've got a nice big image here of the Sandcrawler and showing that includes the base. So usually the bases can rotate to show the starship in different angles. This one is pretty much just a flat base, so there's no real features to show there. And here we can see the other starships in this particular wave. So it's really quite interesting. This is the prototype version of Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi Interceptor. They're expanding into some interesting variants here with prototype versions. The other new one in this wave includes the Gauntlet, like we see Bo-Katan fly in the Mandalorian series. And then we have two reissues. The Mandalorian's N1 Starfighter, which was included in a wave not too long ago. So we actually have this one from the earlier wave, and the Snow Speeder, which is a slightly older one from a wave that we didn't find here in New Zealand. So we were so very excited to see this one has been reissued, and we were able to pick it up as part of this assortment. So now, with that one being reacquired, this one from an earlier wave, we now have the full assortment from this wave, which is very exciting for us here in New Zealand, where distribution can be a little bit patchy. So very excited. I wanted to jump in and open this one up because it's so different. You can see the usual stand style with the other starships all sort of raised up, and this one's just going to be on a flat base, so nothing too exciting in terms of the base, but the ship itself, the vehicle, is going to be super cool. So of course we've just got standard copyright text there, a little bit of those windows at the side, still pretty dark in there, and of course that top with the number on the hanger there. So pretty cool packaging, but personally I think this one is going to look so much better out. I know for some collectibles it's fun to keep them boxed, others do look better out. I think in particular this one's going to look so much better out of the box, so let's get stuck in. I'm gonna cut the sellotape here on the corners, and hopefully this one will slide out. Some of the starships in this line are really wedged in tight to the plastic trays, but if this one is like the 8080 from the same line, oh, we've got sellotape down the bottom as well, that's a little bit different. The 8080 is kind of got a slightly different packaging style. It's kind of more of a clamshell, and it just slipped right out. So I'm hoping, if I get through the sellotape, that that will be what this one is like as well, because some of those more recent ones are held in, and we've got more sellotape down the back. Cool, this thing is really robustly packaged in here. Okay, let's see if I can get these little tabs out. I'm not too fussed about the packaging for these ships. I do keep them, but I know they may not survive completely intact. Oh, and we've just got the stand here slipped into the bottom just with tissue paper. It didn't have its own box like the usual stands. We can see there, black. It's got the silver Sandcrawler text there with some little feet stamps, so it sits in place. We've got the, oh, if I can get the light on it, the Star Wars logo stamped into one end, and the Hot Wheels logo, very small, stamped into the other end. Just a little bit of copyright information there on the underside, so don't really have to unpack that one much there. So let's slide this one out. Just put that box over there, and now we can get a better look. Okay, so we've got a lot of plastic going on here. Okay, and it just slips out. Nice, and that is very, very heavy. Just one last look at the insert for the Hot Wheels Starships Select line. The insert card features a black and white blueprint style artwork of the ships in this particular assortment. So we can see Obi-Wan's Jedi Interceptor, the Snow Speeder, we've got the Gauntlet, the N1, and of course the Sandcrawler there as well. So that's a really fun detail. Of course, this one was pretty dark. You couldn't really see it, so I thought I'd just show that there. Kind of fun. If you don't like to keep the packaging, you can always just cut this back panel out and keep that fun little piece of Star Wars art there. So now we have the Sandcrawler in question. This thing is so heavy, and I'm kind of curious to see if it's got anything that moves. And of course, one of the first things I noticed is, yes, it is Hot Wheels. We have got wheels on this thing. I was kind of curious because it couldn't really see anything in the box, but yes, it does have some wheels that feel, yes, plastic in here as well. That's kind of fun. And I was curious, I don't know that this is, don't think that's going to hinge. I think that's just sculpted in there. That doesn't look like that's going to open because these look pretty well painted over. Because some, versions of Sandcrawlers over the years have maybe like a panel on the side that will open up, or here, or sometimes in the back somewhere. This one's just got engines. So yes, it doesn't really open up, but it is still pretty heavy. I was thinking maybe we might have like a little interior little sort of capsule or something, but nothing looks like it moves here. And for the sort of windows up the top, that's just paint, so there's no interior sort of design there. We've just got the little black windows painted on the end there. So pretty cool. I'm just going to adjust the camera so I can display this and show the details a little bit closer up, because this looks pretty cool. We've got a lot of paintwork to go over here. So I have adjusted the camera angle so I can show you some of the details and features a little bit better. And first things first, this thing really wants to roll. It's really quite cute. Of course, it stays still when you put it down, but the wheels really do work quite nicely. Of course, Hot Wheels, hence the name, would be very good at creating wheels for their toys. And this thing moves really nicely, which I think is really cute. I know the packaging says 4 and up. Because of the weight of this, I don't know that I'd necessarily buy this as a children's toy, but if your child is a really big fan of Jawas and the Sandcrawler, then it is pretty much a solid toy. I can imagine this thing looking pretty cute being rolled through the sand in the backyard or something like that. It just looks really cute and so iconic. Of course, we see the Jawas on Tatooine pretty early on in A New Hope. This is one of the very early Star Wars vehicles. So even though it looks very blocky, it is just so very cool. And I'm really happy that it's being represented here in the Hot Wheels Starships Select line. So let's take a closer look at the details. As I mentioned before, there are no moving parts apart from those wheels down the bottom you can see there. But we've just got a lot of this surface detail. There is so much going on. All of these little rectangles and lines here. There is a lot of detail, and we've got some really cool paint detail here as well. Lots of different colors going on. We've kind of got mustard browns, we've got sort of rust and silver going on, little panels in that are painted differently to other panels. There is just so much going on here. I think it's really cool. And of course, we've got those little black windows across the very top there. And all of this paintwork continues on to the other side. Even just here, we're in the box, it kind of looked perhaps a little bit more flat because it was a little bit dark and we couldn't really see all of the subtleties in the paint. You can really see it getting under the lights, just how varied all of the brown tones are. Really gives it a depth. It doesn't just look like one flat brown with some weathering and paint detail around the front. Even around here, you can see the darker patches, the paler patches. We've got some really fun weathering all over this, and even on the front there. The underside doesn't really have much weathering, and this part feels more plastic, this component here. And on the back, in sort of the engine section, that is a little bit more of a flat, even brown color. So I guess you could add weathering there if you want. Personally, I think that looks pretty cool. Some really tiny detail there as well. You can see all of that little sculpting lines. And then on the top, we also have a little bit of a variance with the color scheme. You can see it kind of shifts to a darker tone through the center before evening out there. Very subtle, but I like that. It's not just a flat paint job there. We're getting variance, and look at all of that detail. Absolutely fantastic. Really nice. Really cool. It's funny, it's just a solid object, but it's just so nostalgic. I love all these small details. And then of course down the front we've got weathering as well. Really, really cool. So yeah, I'm really impressed that it's not just a solid flat color with some very sparse weathering on there. I really like the variations there. So cute. I kind of want to take this thing to the beach, but I know it's metal. I'm not going to do that. But I think, I want to see people take those really cool toy photos where they really set the scene. I know Jawas would be practically invisible if you put them next to a toy of this scale, but I think that this would look really cool. And you could probably get some almost lifelike, you know, if you do that sort of forced perspective photography and make this thing look bigger than it is. I think that they'll look really cool because of the amount of sculpted detail and paint detail on this. I think that that would look really, really cool. So moving on, let's pose it on its base. So of course we've got the little plastic wheels that are going to fit in those little divots there in the tray stand. So just kind of sits in there very nicely, and we can see the nameplate there, Sandcrawler. So that is nice and sturdy. That's not going to go anywhere. I would have to move the whole thing. And I've posed it facing this way. That is how it is pictured on the box. And personally, I think that that looks really, really nice. Bit different than the other Starships on their raised bases. But of course, this one is going to be a flat base there. So yeah, no moving parts, but I'm really impressed with the detail on this. I think that that is just so cute and iconic. I hope to see more land vehicles from the Starships Select line. I want to see perhaps the land speeder from Tatooine as well. There are plenty of other ground vehicles that I think would be really, really fun in this scale. Of course, watching the most recent episode of The Bad Batch, the Juggernaut that we see in various styles, I think that that would be a really fun vehicle. You know, there's an Imperial one, there's one from the Clone Wars, sort of the Clone Turbo Tank. There are lots of fun ground-based vehicles because this looks really, really nice. And I just love the variance in that paint job. So much small detail for such a small toy. Absolutely fantastic. Really happy with this one. Can't wait to add it to my Hot Wheels Starships Select display. So thank you so much for watching. I'll have my other Hot Wheels unboxings linked down below if you want to see more, including some of the others from this most recent wave, like that prototype Jedi Interceptor. That's quite an interesting one to see up close. Catch you in the next video, and as always, may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.